InfoSum is a technology company in what I would label as the data collaboration space. And so we're resolving frictions that exist around data collaboration. And I can elaborate a little bit because at the heart of efficient data collaboration is this need to connect, as you know, Andy, disparate customer data sets. And many of the current solutions that have existed in market, the technology, the processes, had a prerequisite to centralize and share vast amounts of personal data. And the moment that that happens, so a brand wants to connect to a media owner to understand the audience and the reach of that audience, the moment that you actually send that data and you centralize it, not only is the privacy and security of that personal data at risk, but the data owner, whether that's the brand or the media owner, can actually lose control of the data. And so we at InfoSum empower companies to collaborate across that first party data, but without having to sacrifice that control. And so the two things, there's many interesting things about InfoSum, but the two that I think really help to distinguish us. So the first is that we're technology and we're not a data company ourselves. And so we don't own any data, we don't sell any data, we don't control any data. And I think that's really important as you see many new identity solutions coming in market and us giving you the technology, especially as many media owners like ITV and Channel 4, who we work with, and many here in the US as well, are bringing their own audience solutions to market, or ID solutions like Merkle as an example. Many of the brands just want it to be interoperable and easy. And so that's sort of one element when you're technology and you're not a data entity. I think that's very important. So you can be objective and neutral and agnostic to the solutions. I think the second is really the bedrock of which our platform was founded on, which is privacy and security. And so we built a new database technology that is innovative in the sense that it joins data sets without actually moving that data. And so we've talked about this and we call it the non-movement of data. So there's no commingling, no centralization, like I talked about before, which is the traditional way. And by removing that need to share that data, each party, again, brand, agency, data provider, you're retaining that full control, which is incredibly important as you see more regulations coming to market. And you really start to see a lot of change and then the advocacy of and awareness of consumer privacy.
So tell us a little bit of how you work with the buy side, brands and agencies.
So brands, so if you think about it, brands have been they've been on a journey and shift to become more data-centric companies for a while. And so brands have been either by way of products, collecting robust and rich consumer touch points, typically investing in CRM or CDPs or DMPs. And ultimately what we're able to do is we help to enable those brands to collaborate. And so they could want to collaborate for a variety of reasons. Sometimes brands want a better understanding of their consumer, even just within an enterprise. So if you take a major media conglomerate, where a media conglomerate may have consumer products in market, they may have a streaming service, they may have cinema, they may have a range of different parks and recreation, and you want to understand your consumer across all of those disparate data sets. We help brands in that realm understand a unified view of a consumer. We also then help to enable that brand to collaborate. And so if you want to run more effective marketing campaigns, and as you know, we want that to be more data driven, whether that's in digital, which has been around for a long time, or whether it's in advanced TV, brands today are bringing their understanding of their consumer to effectively target and deliver more relevant advertising across channels. And so we also help to do that, again, protecting that data from ever leaving the control of the brand. And so that's sort of another example. And so I think of it as audience insights, activation, more effective measurement, all of the things that you want data collaboration to enable. We are doing that, but we're just doing it with privacy at the core.
So Lauren, where does this all lead the industry, big picture, in terms of understanding first-party data, dealing with it safely, which is on everyone's mind, But what does this mean ultimately in terms of results, outcomes, the value of advertising? Kind of where does this lead us?
Well, what we've seen is first party data leads to better performance. And so we have a lot of case studies that have shown the activation of first party data can drive more subscribers, higher awareness. And I think we've just seen that trend for a very long time. And so just more performant advertising. As a consumer, I think it's incredibly important because it's just richer engagements. And I think there's a spectrum of what those engagements are. It could be as basic as you calling, a trusted bank, and you're calling the customer service line of a bank, and that they actually understand that not only do you have an account with them, a checking account, but that you may have a mortgage with them, that you actually have already signed up for a credit card, for an example. So even from a customer service angle, I think it's important in terms of the way that data can be impactful. And then obviously in driving more relevant experiences. So more of the interesting, exciting side where you're done binge watching a television show and you get the right recommendation for the next show or movie to watch. And I think that's also really important. Or it's for convenience sake. And so consumers care about potentially the right here, right now, and the immediacy of a transaction, as an example, coming off of an advertisement. So I think that's really the evolution. However, I don't know about you, but the past handful of years, following really notable security breaches and very public misuse of data and data leakage, consumers just have a heightened awareness of, a basic question, which is, what are you doing with my data? And so I think those investments, what's happening with brands, what's happening with media owners, where they are becoming data centric and oriented companies, and they're making those investments in technology, they're shifting their strategies to do that. It's no longer separate from the way that privacy has to be at the forefront, just given that wave of consumer sentiment and heightened awareness.